everyone, very happy being here and having in this studio Maggie, the person who brings you a lot of energy and insights now from this discussion. Hi Maggie, welcome.
Hey, Ina. Nice to be here as always. Really happy to connect.
Happy to have you with me on this interview, and again with all the way we do all the work we do together, and the work you do as the career advisor and the supporter people in the transitions. Always very interesting to hear something new from you. And today we will be talking particularly about your experience in Bevel On as one of our mentors, right? So we will
Sure.
run the
Yeah.
discussion about mentoring, but for those who are watching us, I would like to mention that Maggie is not only the mentor to Bevel on capacity building program, but also one of the speakers in the topic, very important topic of skills transfer. She is guiding people in career transitions on how actually we can leverage the best of our professional experience. But you are also an active member of the Bevel on Association, and I'm very grateful that you joined and having you as part of the team. So actually, the interesting question, the first one I will ask you, what keeps you engaged in so many ways with Bevel On?
Yeah, I think it's probably two elements. Originally, I know that Bevel On is now spreading a bit wider, but originally it was really about highly skilled Ukrainian refugee. And what really intrigued me apart from just connecting with you personally, Ina, and I think it's also always that, joint ventures are always built also on personal connections. But what really got me interested is I was just basically imagining myself. Ukraine was a middle class, prospering, wonderful country, and then overnight, boom. And I just imagine what would I want to do if I had to run Geneva, Switzerland tomorrow, and I would find myself in, I don't know, Poland. I don't want to get, I don't know, social help and all of that. What I would want to get is be quickly integrated in the market and just have a job. And that's exactly what you're doing. And so that's where I got really excited to be part of that and connect with the people you're helping. And now that we broaden out a little bit, as you know, I'm working in the humanitarian sector, or I worked until very recently. So every day I speak to colleagues that are impacted by the budget cuts. So there's just so much need out there right now. And with every little bit we can help, the better. And the other side, this is not just all altruistic. It's just really, I'm really passionate about that space. I'm passionate about leadership development, about career development. So if I can bring that somewhere where it can help, it's just simply giving me pleasure. So there's also a little egoistic side of this.
There is nothing egoistic about that, and believe me, you will see other interviews we are running and placing in our media channels with other mentors and trainers that are actually your colleagues and peers in Bevel On. Everyone is talking about the emotional bond with what we are doing, with the purpose, with the growing together and giving back to the society. And absolutely, the topic you just raised about the displaced professionals from Ukraine, there was the original idea. It's not even the idea, there was the calling on how we can help. There was something very emerging and there was something very hurting, because we think here in this perspective about the talented professionals that were absolutely fine completing the working day the day before the war started, right? And in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, you just wake up and boom, there is a war and you need to do something. So having said that, it's not that everyone is ready for that overnight, right? You cannot be ready for these kind of things, but this is about how quickly you can put together your strengths and brain and mental and emotional capacity to be able to change. Right? And I'm always saying that going through the big life transitions, it's a huge learning for the set of skills we can create, such as resilience, persuasion, such as optimism, dedication, and the discipline in order to get out of the circumstances where people were placed and to get to the new level and to be able to do something. And especially with the talented professionals, displaced professionals from Ukraine, I knew, as I'm Ukrainian living here in Switzerland for many, many years, but I knew that my people, where I came from, these are those who would will to integrate professionally immediately. But what we've seen also, and why that was the point, the moment of time when I called you and saying, Meggi, we need your help, because I clearly understood that they would require your knowledge, your experience in skills transfer. The economic environment in Ukraine is very different to economic environment in Switzerland, right? The way we call jobs, the way we settle jobs, and the way we position ourselves for these jobs is a day and night, two very different things. So considering that many of our participants with years of experience, but they've been asked to shift industries and roles overnight, literally, and the confidence is not there. So why do you think, considering your topic and your professional experience, your role as mentor, why do you think so many people underestimate their own skills when they change countries or sectors?
So I think there's always several elements to this. So I always feel there's a question of translation, and translation is not only Ukrainian into English. It's also, I saw that changing sectors from the private to the humanitarian, or the other way around. You know, every country, every sector has their own language. And if you suddenly don't understand the language, you just feel stupid, or maybe not stupid, but you just feel like you don't get it. But that has probably nothing to do with your expertise or your skills. It's just literally you need a translation. So I think that's one element. And then also just getting to know as you mentioned before, the Swiss market is very different to probably the Ukrainian market, or the private sector environment is different to the humanitarian environment. Is really to get to know the dynamics. And unless you know and understand them a little bit, it's easy to feel intimidated. At least that's also how I tick. You know, when I'm in a new environment, I'm also first a bit intimidated until I figured out how things work. And only once you understand that, then you feel more at ease to come forward and really shine your full light, if you will.
That's so true. And I'm thinking now, again, people come, people try to find a job, or even those people who are already here, because again, Bevel ON Association, how together we help people today. This is not only about the Ukrainian displaced professionals, but also expatriated migrants, those who are coming with their families. Or recently, we started having also applications to the program by those people who are going through the career transition, even if they're Swiss, right? Because there is a moment when they feel like, oops, I don't fit anymore. And the whole job environment or economical environment is changing so fast. I hear it once from someone close to Bevel ON, the phrase that it's the fastest pace of change we have now, but it's the slowest versus what we will have in the future, right? So my question to you would be, how exactly do you help someone who's going through these circumstances connect their past experiences, the baggage they had, to the new career opportunities, especially if you are talking different country? How should they do? What is the piece of advice you could give in terms of this subject?
I think the first thing everybody should do and needs to do is to get clear what they actually want. And I know that can sometimes feel like a luxury, you know, when you arrive and you just want to make sure the bills meet, and you feel so desperate, or maybe you've been, because the job environment is really crazy right now. You know, the other day I was, as you know, I run a podcast, and I had a really cool coach from Zurich on the podcast, and I was talking about the job cuts in Geneva, and she was like, you know what, it's happening in Basel, it's happening in Zurich. It's just, there's something about the market, that the market is really, it's difficult to find a job these days. So now I put myself into the shoes of somebody who has been working for or looking for a job for a while, maybe on top somebody who's displaced. So there's this extra pressure on. So the obvious or the intuitive thing is to just desperately try to find a job tomorrow. And I really challenge that to the extent to as a first step, really get clear what you actually want. Do you want to do the exact same thing you've done before? Is that maybe a moment to finally do something slightly different? Are there maybe more opportunities in a slightly different space? So I think there it's really the first thing is to be really honest and even dream big. It doesn't mean only because you dream big that you'll go crazy overnight, but at least get clear what would be the ideal scenario. And then look pragmatically what's the next opportunity around the corner. And that's when you can start looking at your transferable skills. But if you skip the first step, you might figure out, I mean, stupid example, I'm German, I'm extremely organized. I did one of those amazing assessment tool that was really helpful, looked at motivations, and I learned that actually I get zero pleasure out of being organized and running projects and doing all these things that I'm really good at. So if you don't know what you actually enjoy, you might find yourself just continue doing what you don't like only because you're good at it. So that's kind of where I challenge people in the training, but also in the mentoring to, I think that's kind of the value you can bring as a coach or as a mentor, to listen, first of all, of course, but then also to challenge and dig deeper and invite the mentee or the participants of the course to really challenge their own thinking.
Yeah, yeah, I second that completely. And I think there is another element here, and especially if we link it to the mentoring program that we are talking about today, is that having the experience or advice of people from the diverse background is very rich as an experience, as a support, because then it opens the doors. And what you said about knowing what you want, I find that this is something that is one of the most challenging tasks to do, because you place yourself based on the previous experience and previous memories. Your brain knows into the place where you've been before. But doing the big life transition or changing careers is about seeing where else can you place yourself instead of doing same things again. In the end of the day, you will wake up at a certain age and will say, like, I never changed. And why? Because the brain was wide and was narrow towards the past experience. And it's very interesting to hear from you about the transfers of skills and the jobs, and being supported by other people in that gives very rich experience. So my next question to you would be, actually, I mentioned already that because I had this question in mind. Why, in mentoring journey, in whatever programs, not necessarily Bevel ON, why is it so important to have mentors that come from the diverse backgrounds, diverse industries, diverse different countries, cultural backgrounds? Because I hear quite often, and I'm a firm believer that more diversity is better, but quite often when mentors join us, they say, I want to help, but I don't know if I actually can help someone from a completely different field. How would you answer that statement?
So I guess there's so many elements to where you can find this personal connection, right? I mean, maybe you're from very different professional fields, but from similar cultures, or you're from very different cultures, but from similar professional fields. So I think if it's completely different, I would probably also challenge myself how much I could be of help, because also you want to guide somebody based on some lived experience. But then at least I guess you could still bring a completely new perspective. I would think that a certain common denominator is helpful, just to really make this connection and help craft the path forward. So yeah, I guess that would be my answer. But then in general, you need that diversity to challenge the thinking and to get a new perspective, because based on what you also just said on the brain wired to be based on past experience, if you match people that have the same past experience, the same culture experience, then they'll be probably talking about the same thing. And that might not create some new ideas and new paths.
And quite often when we do the mentor-mentee matching, I hear the requests from mentees saying, look, for instance, I've been working all my life in banking experience. Can I have the mentor from banking industry? And I said, no. Let me challenge you of saying something different, experience from you're already in different country, see something different to your past experience and past industry, because you know there we work with the highly professional people, you know what's going on there. It's slightly different in a new country, but the business is there. So be challenged by someone who can open your view on other industries, on other skills, and probably you can take your skills and place into other industry. So
And I
exactly.
guess, sorry, just to jump in here, I guess that's particularly important when you want to transfer sectors or industries, so you have to talk to where you want to go. So yeah, I totally second that. And the other bit that just came up, I had that also with it wasn't a formal mentoring relationship. It was just a really good friend, but it ended up almost in an informal mentoring relationship. And she was an amazing project manager with literally 2-3 decades of experience in the private sector. So really kick-ass project manager. And for whatever reason, she couldn't see that. And through our conversation, she realized that her skills would be so valuable in the humanitarian sector because there we are typically not as professional in that area. So yes, you need that exchange to even see how amazing you already are, which you might completely undervalue yourself.
Exactly. And we started talking about the self-confidence and self-esteem for those people who are looking for the shift, is it the skills transfer on the job shifts, industries, and those people who are doing the cultural shift by moving to a new country. Whoever is watching us now with Meggi, if you have the solid advice for those people who are doing the big life transitions, big shifts in the professional area, and you would like to join Bevel ON Association, either in the role of mentor or the speaker on certain topics, as Meggi does, please contact us, myself or Meggi. We are looking for people who are different. We are looking for people who are making impact. We are looking for people who are willing to give back to the society and with full compassion and empathy would like to help those people who feel a little bit lost in this particular moment of time. And if you are still asking yourselves, I'm not sure if I can help, well, when you come, we will find a way how exactly you can help. And this is what we did with Meggi, with many other mentors and speakers to the association. What stays in your heart is most important, with the willingness to give back to the society and support others, and everything else we will figure out from the professional experience and cultural background you have. Meggi is fantastic coach, fantastic trainer and speaker, and a member to the Bevel ON Association, and you can join us one day as well. Meggi, thank you so much for giving your insight, for supporting us, and for being such a strong believer in the impact we are co-creating together.
My pleasure, as always. And yeah, I can just invite everybody, give us a call, give me a call, give Ina a call, and find out if you're now motivated to also be part of this journey.
Thank you.